ABNB is the narrowboat broker that specialises in selling quality new and used boats nationwide. Visit the ABNB website to buy or sell your canal boat. Hello and welcome to the Southampton Boat Show, the UK's biggest marine festival and one of Europe's largest on-water events. I'd been invited there to give a talk about the inland waterways, but I thought it would be silly not to also run around with the camera and show you what the event is like. With 632 stands and berths, 650 craft, including 350 boats in the marina, which is set up temporarily purely for the show, there's a huge amount to get around, and of course I can't possibly show you more than a tiny fraction of it, but I will show you some of the boats that caught my eye as I wandered around. You've got all the huge multi-million pound mega gin palaces such as yachts from Sunseeker, and of course Princess were there as well, in my opinion the swoopiest and curviest boats at the show. Unfortunately, I did not have an appointment, nor the money frankly, so walked on by. The first boat to welcome me aboard was this Fleming 55, exactly the kind of thing I would buy if I won the lottery because, well, it looks like a proper boat, if you know what I mean. Something about those side decks, I think. Here's the spacious back deck, ideal for entertaining as the sun goes down. Inside, look at the warm, inviting interior, a place to snuggle up later on when the wind is howling and the rain lashing down. There's a decent-sized galley with induction hob, oven, big sinks and a huge refrigerator that I now wanted to open more than anything else. Step forward to the wheelhouse and you have a cosy crew area with the helm in front. Look at that! That's some proper boat gear, that is. That chair and steering wheel say, I mean business. I could cross the Atlantic if I wanted. And apparently some owners have done that. I can imagine staring over the ocean swell, safe in my wheelhouse. Or, when it's calm and sunny, enjoying reading a book on the forward deck. Head down from the galley and you find first a bunk cabin, which does the job. There's also the laundry built into a cupboard in the passageway. And at the bow, the main cabin. Look at all that wood. And look at all those access panels. I do like a good set of access panels for maintenance. Here's the heads, which is what you'd expect, loo and shower. Plus there's plenty of storage dotted around the room. There's also a third cabin, which here was configured as not just a twin, but a twin with extra pull-out bunk above. Go up from the wheelhouse and you have this glorious flybridge, aka the gin and tonic deck, with loads of comfy seating. Plus the tender is stored at the back with a crane to lift it on and off. Not for sale, but if you fancied an interesting trip out, was this World War II gunboat from 1942, which can hit 43 knots. There's more info on that sign if you wish to pause and read. Next door was an even earlier craft with just as illustrious a history. Speaking of fast boats, this pointy-bowed shiny thing from Vigo looked like enormous fun. But let's be realistic, I'm more of a gentle cruise with a cup of tea kind of chap, which is why this Galleon 440 next door caught my eye. Just look at that opening side deck, it gives you extra space for relaxing with a drink at hand. Plus, it has all the usual Gin Palace accoutrements, like the bathing platform at the back. There's the barbecue and sink across the stern for cooking up any fish you've caught, and it leads nicely into a very open plan layout, perfect for socialising. The chairs at the side can have their backs flipped so you can face out towards the sea or face in when it's time to dine. Inside there's another couple of sofas which form the saloon, and the C-shaped galley is up front near the helm, with induction hob for cooking. Being a smaller boat, the side door means it's easy for the captain to step out when needed. In the bow you have the main guest cabin, a small bunk cabin lies next door alongside the passageway. Huge windows let light flood in, so it didn't feel cramped. But turn back on yourself and go down below the main deck and you find the master cabin, which occupies the full width of the boat and has its headroom cleverly designed to maximise usability, even though it's inherently compromised by having the main deck floor above. You can see how where you need to stand there is space to do so, but over the bed itself, where you'll usually be horizontal, the space is more limited. Again, vast panes of glass on either side let the view flood in. If the view's rubbish, there's a telly. The boat's yours for about £600,000 to £700,000, I think. Sailing really isn't my bag, but Spirit Yachts did have a thing of beauty on display. Look at those sleek lines and all that glorious wood. Just imagine how many tins of Mr. Sheen you'd need to polish all that though. Back to my kind of boats, and having cruised through Henley-on-Thames recently, I immediately spotted this sign from Piper Boats displaying their cruiser on the river there. This is a 12-metre longboat for genteel days out on calm waters. It's built of steel, so it's very solid. I can quite imagine having scones and cake on the back deck there. Inside it's spacious and homely, inviting you in. It's all very elegant and light. I can imagine myself standing here somewhat imperiously. There's the galley, induction cooktop again. They were all the rage at the show. Gosh darn those pesky notices and the temptation screaming in my head. Here's the bedroom, just the one in this version of the craft, though you can get one with bunks as well if the galley is moved to the saloon. A brand new boat was launched by Fairline at the show, the Squadron 58. As I couldn't get a good side-on shot of it, here are their publicity photos. And, even though I clearly don't have the £2.3 million plus VAT to buy one, they kindly let me aboard. Obviously, there's a powered bathing platform at the back and the obligatory barbecue grill. Assuming you may want someone to crew the boat for you, there's a tiny crew cabin at the back with just enough space for one. Or maybe use it for a teenager who demands their own room. It's quite self-contained down here. Your guests will board from the passerelle, which extends out the back, and they will immediately be impressed by the electrically powered folding side decks. If not sitting there, they can admire the ocean from this large sofa. Here's the galley. Yes, induction hob. Look how shiny that woodwork is. Is that walnut? Reminds me of my old Jag. And it has this brilliant bar area out to the side deck, so you can pass cocktails out. Here's the main saloon area. It looked so fluffy, I wanted to rub my face on it like a dog with dirt on its nose. Probably best not to let pets near that. The helm is very commanding, and I love this one-piece huge windscreen. It gives an amazing panoramic view. I could imagine mowing down peasants in lesser boats quite happily from here. Downstairs you can either head forward to the guest suites or turn around and back to the master cabin. Look at this sumptuous palace. There's the ensuite shower. And there's the ensuite bog. They probably don't call it a bog for 2.3 million. This is your first guest cabin, also with ensuite and shiny wood. And this is cabin 3 with twin beds. Upstairs there's the flybridge, which is mostly given over to lounging, apart from the second helm. there's more lounging on the front deck. Let's have a look around what appears to be a river cruiser, but is actually Category A rated for sea handling. This is the Dale Nelson 37. It's as elegant as you'd expect inside, with compact saloon and galley opposite. Helm to the left with not one, but two sizes of cup holder. Ah, luxury. Up front, there's the double bed and a practical looking ensuite. There's a second double bed too, which is reached back underneath the deck. If rugged is what you're after, there are other options like this. It's a twin-engined offshore cruiser which can easily go cross-channel. Built by Seaward Boats, it's a semi-displacement hull clocking in at 6 tons. It's got twin rudders, twin fuel tanks, twin batteries, emergency steering, all the kind of fail-safes for tougher boating challenges. This is the main cabin, a traditional V-berth, heads, and a very comprehensive helm position. You can envision crashing through some waves from here. Here's a Nidelv, which I think is a Norwegian boat builder. This is for light coastal and inland waterway cruising. It's Category C rated. What I like about it is that it's got an aft cabin. For some reason, the privacy of a separate cabin at the back appeals to me. You go down and there's just a bed, no great space, but it separates you from the living area. Back up in the cockpit, you'll be commanding a Yanmar or Volvo diesel engine with around 110 horsepower. It felt very light and open because the cockpit is covered by this canopy, which can be opened up to let the gulls poo on your head. Down below, there's a diesel hob in the galley and a seating area which can also be used as a berth. This boat will cost you £240,000, by the way. Lots of good maintenance hatches in the floor. The fridge has to squeeze into the cockpit. And, if I may say, that's a nice shapely arse. Moving along, Dutchy Motor Launches had quite the contrasting pair on their stand. There was this very sporty looking party boat on the one hand, and then this more refined cruiser on the other. That's definitely a boat made for blasting about at high speed while your guests recline in bikinis. The kind of playboy lifestyle I aspire to. On the cruiser side, you've got flexible indoor seating and a compact galley. These boats start at about £380,000, I think. It's all very high-tech, of course, and there's easy access to the gunnels when you're mooring. Down below, the usual forward double bed, and again another double running underneath the cabin deck. Not one for claustrophobic guests, though to be fair, a lot of light comes in from the window to the side. Another roughy-tufty go-anywhere is this Nordstar, but I couldn't go aboard as they had customers there. We're definitely coming inland now, with a brand synonymous with canals and rivers for decades. Viking make both narrow beam and wide beam fiberglass cruisers. This 275 version is wide and powered by an electric outboard, though you can still have petrol if you prefer. You see hordes of Viking cruisers on the inland waterway network, and you can pick up old ones from the 1980s for just a few £1,000s, which in boating terms is pocket change. To be honest, they haven't changed much in all that time in terms of layout and design, but if it works, why change it? You get the saloon, the galley, the forward V-berth, and on this model, a permanent double bed underneath the rear deck again, which saves you converting the V-berth to sleeping mode every night. I just hinted that boating is not cheap however you do it, but I think I found the bargain of the show next from Italian boat builder Salpa. Granted, £100,000 is a chunk of money, but compared with the prices of everything else on display here, and when you see what you get, this is great value for money, I think. For a start, there's a bathing platform at the back with sun lounger, more sun lounging on the foredeck, a comprehensive helm with all the controls and instruments you need. The sink is here with a pull-out shower attachments. And how many boats do you see with a chaise to snooze on? And ingeniously saving space, underneath that is the sink and hob. The cabin has a seating area which converts to a bed, but you guessed it, there's another fixed double mattress under the cabin deck as well. The heads are a bit small, but there is a shower, though you'd have to sit down while using it. This is not an ad, I swear. I just think, given everything I saw at the show, this is terrific value. Then again, if the budget can't stretch that far, how about this? Well, if you're floating, you're boating, but perhaps one for warmer waters than Britain. Speaking of fun times, I don't know what this boat is, but with 300 horsepower outboards, I bet it shifts. And at the total opposite end of the spectrum, how cute is this? It's about the smallest fishing boat you could possibly get. Just enough space to stand or sit and throw a line overboard, with a little cabin for a nice lie down. I think it sells for about £6,000, but with various optional extras. And you can trail it, possibly behind a bicycle because it's so small. There were indoor stands as well, of course, including a presentation area where, on the Sunday, yours truly gave a half-hour talk about canals. Torrential rain thankfully bringing people in to listen. Away from the pontoons, Tingdean flew the flag for canal marinas, and brands well known in the canal world such as Beta Marine had stands. Their diesels power the majority of canal boats, I would guess. Vetus, who also make narrowboat engines, were there promoting their diesel and electric propulsion. Actually, there were quite a lot of electric motors on show, such as the Torqeedo outboards. And the show was graced by a quick flypast from the Red Arrows display team. After 5 hours trekking around, I needed a sit down and a sandwich, so it was time to head home. The show is definitely not cheap. Tickets are 40 quid on the door, but there is a huge amount to see, so it was good fun. Thanks for watching. I'll be back to canal content next time. Cheerio!